Hi, Nitin Sundar. How are you? Finally.
Hello, Nisha. Yes, glad to see you here. I had no idea that we were having a third list on Leftover Lasagne.
The
Damn cool.
ultimate Nitin Sundar is the one standing outside ladies' washrooms. What more than one hour? I think mine is going to be better than his, right?
Do you want me to leave, guys? Like,
I think
would you like
that's a
to
good idea,
continue this
Tony.
conversation?
I think that's a good idea.
Leftover lasagne.
Leftover lasagna.
Lasagna? No way.
It's a type of sandwich.
Some kind of gross pasta.
Leftover Lasagna is a
podcast
hosted by
my
Nitin
charge
Sundar and Tony Uncle. Leftover Lasagna.
Very funny name.
Hello and welcome to Leftover Lasagne, the weekly podcast that laughs at the absurdities of life because we believe the best way to maximize an audience for our podcast was through the maxim laugh and the whole world laughs with you. Weep and you weep alone. But then no one laughed with us for the first 4 episodes. So, in a spectacular pivot, we then proceeded to weep deeply for the next 16 episodes, thereby losing the small audience we had already acquired. And then pivoted 2 episodes ago, leaving this as the podcast, which is now an echo chamber with a Chekhov's gun that has gone off. And our ears have been deafened to the outside noise. So, we keep talking random rubbish only to make each other laugh. Alongside me is my co-host Nitin Sundar, who was one described by a fan as having a whiskey honey voice. That whiskey, of course, is Jim Beam, because the suggestion that his voice has been working out, and also a comparison that made him feel cute like the lead romantic hero in The Office and made him smile from year to year. See what I did there? One Jim Beam and another Jim Beam. And I am Tony, the jack of all trades, who's in denial about people not finding his voice attractive enough. Jack Denial? Jack Daniel? Oh, well, fuck it. I don't know where we are going with this Nitin Sundar. How have you been?
I have been good. I don't know. We've been together on 100 different episodes of various podcasts at this point in time. And whenever you get into your Tony intro mode, I wonder two things. One is, of course, how do you come up with these intros? How do you do it? I really, every time you get into one of those things, what I really am thinking is, I want to know what are these synapses in Tony's brain? Like, how do these dots connect? Like, firstly, why does he go to Jim Beam? From Jim Beam, why does he go to Jim Halpert beaming and to, I don't know, beam bars in a gym? And why, how, all the W questions, including how, which
Once
is not
again,
a W.
this was
question
not the
tag.
first thing that occurred to you when I said Jim Beam. Let's be honest. It was Beam Boy, Beam Boy.
Yeah, if I'd spent 5 seconds thinking about it, maybe I'd have come to Beam Boy. But I didn't spend 5 seconds thinking about these things. So that's also part of the fascination. But what I also really love, you keep saying that we have like 5 listeners. Each of those listeners, explained the premise of this podcast on every single episode, including the pivots, the multiple pivots that we have taken, as if they are really, like, people are asking us, why the hell did they kill that
That's
character?
true.
Why this pivot? I mean, like, our listeners are just killing themselves for an answer. And in case you missed it the last time we told you this podcast, in case you've been wondering, we have taken a hard pivot, and this is why we've done the pivot, and this is what we're doing now.
I'm saying the opposite. Is that, think about it, right? First of all, the podcast name means nothing. Okay. Now people are joining saying, okay, what is it? Let's give it a few episodes. 2, 3, 4 episodes. They're like, oh, okay, this is a fun podcast. People are recommending it to people. Then episode 5 onwards, like, full difference. Okay. All 4 episode listeners went. New set of listeners came. Then they fucked off.
New cohort has come. So in case you like this podcast, please recommend it to the people who listened to the first 4 episodes and ask them now to come back.
Exactly. I have this theory, right, that there is a definite point in a content creator's life, if they're good content creators, that they have to take a choice between do I create for the masses, which is do I have followers and fans, or do I retain my original creative this thing and just have friends, right? So for instance, I would say our last week has struck the balance between the two, right? Like, it's not like a massy podcast and all the listeners seem like close friends, whereas someone like a Krish Ashok has gone mainstream now, right? Like, he doesn't have any comments on his Instagram or wherever, which are by friends, right? It's all like unknown people. We have done the exact opposite, where it's just you and me commenting on each other's reels. And the best part, Nitin was on Bits and Pieces this week, which is our cricket podcast. You mentioned how you put out a tweet which got 0 likes and you had to delete it in shame.
One good thing in this test match, nostalgia for everyone. Caught De Silva bowled Jayasuriya, made its way to the scoreboard many, many times. I think
Lovely.
there were 5 catches that DS De Silva took, Dhananjaya took of Jayasuriya's bowling. Now, this is a particularly poignant moment for me because I made this observation and brother Tariq and PDP were both like, oh yeah, this is true. And then both me and Tariq took our phones and put out tweets, okay? We didn't realize that both of us were tweeting the same thing. But he tweeted this out. Just to text. I took a screenshot of the Cricinfo scorecard, okay, with De Silva Jayasuriya, and I put out the same thing saying, "Oh, some things never change." Caught De Silva bowled Jayasuriya. About 24 hours later, I saw that his tweet had 300 likes, guys. My tweet had 0, like 0. I deleted it in shame, in abject shame.
Right?
Because people will think I copied that guy's tweet and didn't even get engagement.
And the best part was in order to sort of promote this podcast, we were told that Instagram pushes reels. Okay. So make reels and you will have great success. Except like the last reel I made, I saw that there are 6 likes on it. And I'm like, oh,
Wow.
very excited. 1 like is you, 1 like is me, and 4 other likes are sex bots, which want to link in bio.
They have moved from Twitter. I also noticed some very weird likes came. And I was like, oh, Tony's friends are acting up.
These are odd friends.
These are the people who follow me on Twitter. They follow Tony on Instagram. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. No, I think that big fork that you spoke about, this existential question facing creators, it's more about are people listening to my podcast or is nobody listening to it? The way I would describe our pivot, right, is like, this auto guy who is going down a one-way very confidently with, one of his passengers sitting in the front, which is not allowed. And he's going down a one-way in the wrong direction, and there is a police car blocking the other way. At that stage, he will lift onto one wheel, or rather he'll stand on 1.5 wheels and make a very sharp U-turn and go back the way he came. I feel our pivot was a bit like that. So, yeah. We were running headlong into the law.
Yeah. Basically, 0 displacement, right? And like there is no velocity because it is a vector, and there are no victors, only losers in the
only losers. Podcast. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah,
amazing.
Previously on Leftover Lasagne.
I can't repeat her words exactly because it's a family podcast, but this is the request from Nisha. Nitin, can you, in your whiskey honey voice, say "Happy birthday, Nisha"?
Happy birthday, Nisha! Thank you so much for listening to Leftover Lasagne.
A few months later.
Hi. Yes.
So,
hi, Nitin Sundar. How are you? Finally.
Hello, Nisha. Yes, glad to see you here. I had no idea that we were having a third panelist on Leftover Lasagne. This is new
it has
territory.
to be, no? This is the happy birthday return gift, no? Whiskey and honey works for me, so I've got gin for you. So, and it's lemon gin. So happy birthday, Nitin Sundar. I hope
thank you so much. Oh, this is wonderful. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Tony, I think mine is going to be better than his, right? I mean, the wish. Leave it to Tony Sebastian to give his love to Nitin Sundar. Because that's all we hear about on the podcast.
Absolutely.
My God, you're making hearts fly and all. Something and all is happening.
That's
but wait. Nitin, so clearly, what is the return period for something that you've bought online? Turns out on Leftover Lasagne, it is 3.5 months because.
Is that how long back it was? Wow, okay. I had
we
time.
did it so many times and so many people wished me. And I think it went on and on and on. So yeah, it was a great year.
Yeah, it's been very long. You've turned a year older since, or almost. Or a year younger, because you are now claiming you're not 40 or 39 and all.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
This is a return policy of Leftover Lasagne is 3.5 months long. What you sent has been returned 3.5
Fantastic.
months later
With interest.
Yeah. Oh, this is like the coolest birthday wishes I've received in a very long time. I famously, not famously, I mean, or rather unusually don't get too excited about my birthday. So I like to keep it very low key. A lot of my friends don't know when my birthday is. This year, we've taken it a step
Oh,
further.
they're gonna know. They're gonna know.
Yeah, all
Count
four of
it
them
by
will listen
the
to this
way.
podcast. One of them is here.
Well, and the other one's here, so there you go.
Yeah, the other two people are my brother and I don't know, whoever else.
full quote.
But
yeah.
yeah,
You
so
can
this
rest
time,
assured that Tony's
Yeah.
been counting down to it since my birthday. So,
oh wow,
Correct.
oh, nice.
I
nice.
actually told Nisha, can you send a video? She's like, what rubbish? I want to
What
speak to Nitin
nonsense.
Sundar and wish him
Of
face
course,
to face.
it has to be the
Damn cool.
ultimate Nitin Sundar, the one standing outside ladies' washrooms. What more can one ask for?
So the right way to have sprung the surprise on me would have been to open the washroom and say, hi, would you like to have me network or whatever?
Do you want me to leave, guys? Like,
I think
would you like
that's a
to
good idea,
continue this
Tony.
conversation?
I think that's a good idea.
I wanted to make one observation. It's incredible
Yes.
how all you, I don't know, this is what Tata intellectuals is it? You always have your bookshelves in that same sort of corner of the screen.
I'm
Are the books the
inspired.
same as well? Yeah.
Well, you'll have to take a closer look there, Tony and Nitin. But
Long
yeah.
time since I read, so I probably won't be
Hey,
able
do
to
you,
recognize
once
anything.
again, is there an or boot in the corner?
There is an orbit in the corner. Good.
Can you
good.
can you see
Are you
mine?
serious? Yeah, we both have 6-year-olds. Okay, I have a 6-year-old.
Clearly,
You have an
clearly.
8-year-old, but yeah, the orbit
Yeah, yeah.
exists.
But Nish, I think you should shame Nitin for not remembering the very hungry caterpillar.
That's
There are
terrible.
only two
I
responsible
could not-
parents
I
on this
mean,
podcast.
it's unacceptable. That was the first little finger you put in the book and you
Yeah,
talk about
yeah.
the caterpillar. Come on, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Nitin, where have you been putting your fingers in?
This is going to be definitely one of your more interesting podcasts.
Yeah. Actually, there was this one particular book that Milan really loved, and I've forgotten the name of that book also. Like, it's like really hopeless. There's one with dogs. There's a dog that's going, and then it becomes. So then it meets another dog. Then those two dogs go. They find a third dog, and they're going, and finally they get scared by a cat. I forget the name of the book. It's a very good book.
I
He's
haven't
read
read
it
this book.
hundreds of times.
I haven't read this book, so I don't know what it is.
Correct.
Right. I'll find out and
But
let you guys
yeah,
know.
yeah, we
afterwards.
really need to
Thank
know.
you.
But
We
I
will
think all our
appreciate
kids
it.
have No, Rafa hasn't outgrown it, so he might still be interested.
So,
let's-
Shruti, please let us know what book Nitin is talking about, because I'm sure he'll forget to ask you after this. So, why don't we just cut out the middleman?
Tony, start Googling
YouTube
two
comment.
dogs, one dog meets the other, meets the other, meets a cat.
Yeah.
It's sounding very interesting.
Yeah.
Book? Are we sure?
Yeah. So it's, I don't know if you guys have heard Chicken Licken, or rather
Yes.
you've read. So this is very similar to Chicken Licken, which by the way was my favorite book as a
Oh
child.
dear
So that,
Lord,
we only remember that. So
that was
What
so
do you
bad.
So, if you
Yeah.
put the first book and this together, it's Finger Lickin' Good, which I don't know.
Okay.
Do we have
We
to
have
laugh?
live reactions now.
Yeah, do we have to?
this is what people think when they're watching episodes of Leftover. This basically has become a focus group discussion now, where we've got our one listener to give us live
This
feedback.
is actually,
Okay, do I have to
am
laugh
I
now?
laughing? Am I not? Yeah, really, this is going to be
Hey,
interesting.
this is great. Now we have visual proof that people are actually laughing.
No,
at,
Tony, we're laughing at you. We're not laughing at the jokes. We're like,
Yeah.
oh
That's
no,
okay.
not again.
You didn't
Or
hear
they're,
the
just
intro.
or they're just being nice to us when they're live on the show with us. Yeah.
Possibly. That's
This
true.
is true.
That's true.
So
That's what it is.
our next target is to get all our listeners on our podcast. So 3 more episodes and then we'll have
And we
completed.
can close the podcast.
Close.
after that.
3 more episodes and you'll have a bar. Yeah, everyone's getting some liquor to the show. It's going to be a party at the end of it.
That's true.
What gin was that, by the way?
Thankray.
You know, Rampur Lime. It's a gimlet in one.
It's a gimlet in one. Well done. Nice.
My God.
Oh, cool.
Bad jokes are not only dad jokes, yeah, Tones.
Only those
Why
he gets.
don't I have such good friends like Nitin Sundar has? Like, he's getting a... My God.
No,
Yeah.
you're misunderstanding. I am getting it. Nitin's only getting the wish.
Uh,
It's all
But
the same.
still.
Yeah,
yeah, it's more than he's gotten otherwise. So,
that's true. Yeah.
but thank you for staying
Very
up,
flattered.
Nish.
No,
And
thank
but
you for
since we
having
have
me.
you, I thought actually coincidentally, you wrote a blog today about the moon,
Yeah.
right? And it was one of the things that we wanted to discuss. So maybe you can stay another 5 minutes, and then we'll
Yeah.
edit you out fully.
Cool.
Or not. So have you heard that the Earth has got a second moon for the next couple of months, and that return policy is still shorter than our birthday wish return policy.
No, it's longer, no, till 2025, November.
No, it's November 25th.
Only November 25th. Oh, crap.
Wait, what is November 25th? Now I'm confused.
So the Earth has a second moon, a mini
Until
moon.
November 25th.
Yeah.
After that, it is
Yeah.
saying fuck off, bye bye,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
leave.
yeah.
Hop on, hop off.
So what exactly is going on with this second moon?
Yeah. Nisha, as our space expert, is that an astronaut on your bookshelf?
There's just one of those days, no? Everything on my
Nice.
bookshelf is up for, yeah, it's an astronaut.
Correct.
I'm a little bit of a space geek.
Perfect.
So,
Please
yeah.
explain to
So
us about.
this is a fun time to be a space geek. So there's an asteroid which has been captured by our Earth's magnetic sort of force, and it's going to go
Hey,
around.
this
with
happens
the
to
moon.
Nitin every week.
In a
Rarely.
brief time, we're going to have two
Correct.
moons, but not everyone
Okay.
can see it with their naked eye, or it's going to need a really strong telescope to see it. So
Oh.
it's going to be fun. So all the space geeks around the world are quite excited. I'm excited. So yeah,
Yeah. Do you know what the second moon is called?
I do, but I'll leave it to you to give that out.
Really?
Otherwise, I'll
I
say
don't know.
2025. It's
Please.
called
Fine.
P5 or something. No, P25 or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
PT5. Wow. Okay.
P5. There
You
go.
really are a space geek. Huh? I thought it was
Yeah.
not just like.
Well,
So,
a little
good.
bit, no?
Very cool. So what is PT5? What does that stand for?
They name it again. I mean, there's no real naming, sort of some in someone's initial and some year's initial and some month's initial. But Tones,
Nice.
does it have something that's
I have no idea.
You know, I like how we are staying
Very
so
well
true to this
prepared.
podcast. I
very
like
well
how we are.
prepared?
I was saying I like how we are staying true to this podcast, which is about Tony and me trying and figuring out things. So now we got an expert to help us figure out something. Also, we
Read
keep
the article sent by Tony.
at least
This is saying
which Tony himself did not read,
Correct.
and neither did I.
Absolutely.
He shared something with me also, and I also ignored it. But
No,
also,
the whole point of having a podcast co-host is so that you can just send the link and not bother reading the content. Do you not get this? So that I can come back and then Nitin will tell me
Yeah.
about it. Or in
Yeah,
this
yeah,
case,
no.
Nisha. Thank you.
yeah. Also, in this podcast, we keep recommending other podcasts, which we will continue to do to you now after having brought you into the panel. Because the moment Tony shared, I'm actually going to recommend this episode of Radio Lab, which you probably have listened to if you're into astro.
Okay, wait,
and stuff,
hold
right?
on.
Which is-
Nish,
Yeah. Yeah.
what
Why don't you
episode is
tell me?
this?
The Zoozway episode.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yep,
See, live
absolutely.
feedback. We
Yeah.
pretend like know it all.
From your three
And don't
listeners,
even-
now you know.
They already know everything that we know, man. Like, what is the point of this podcast? Let's just shut it down.
Someone else tell you about it again. You go like, yeah.
I guess so,
Zoozway.
Yeah.
Okay, no, tell us about Susui. Nitin, I have no idea what Susui.
Hey, you heard that podcast, no? Anyway, so what happened after that episode was I was badgering my son to join that competition, to go and give a name
Name.
because,
Yeah.
you know, they said that
Yeah.
they'll take names.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't inspire him to be too bothered.
Our
So he
kids are
enjoyed the podcast.
really only looking at screens now. You know, the sky is just too far beyond them. But
Yeah.
well,
Wow. Okay.
yeah.
Very
You can hope.
profound. If we
My
keep,
kid wanted to be an astronaut, yeah. She now wants to be a dancer. So, I mean, we're really going the other way now.
No, I think we are really in danger, Nitin. If we keep Nisha on much longer, people will like, can she do the podcast? And you guys
We want to see the other podcast.
No
Better
way.
Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad. That level. Like that. Yeah. We
Thanks
want
for
that
having me,
spin-off.
boys. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank
See
you.
Live
Bye.
long and
Amazing wishes.
prosper.
Yeah.
Wow. My God. Spock and all.
See you. Bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Speaking of our OnlyFans has now become the most popular, one of the most profitable startups. It has
Oh, really?
clocked revenues worth. Yeah. Are you not aware of this? Are you going to make me Google right now?
You're Googling OnlyFans for the wrong reasons.
OnlyFans payments surged to record $6.6 billion in 2023, up
Excellent.
19%.
Yeah, that's very good, man.
Yeah.
The stock that I've been tracking today very closely is not OnlyFans, but it's Ola Fans, or Ola has no fans. So
Explain.
Ola Electric's share price is down 10% today, and I suspect you know why, right? If you've been on Twitter at all
Yeah.
in the last 24 hours, you
This
do,
is
right?
because we mentioned Kunal Kamra in the last episode.
Oh, we did, right? Yeah. So Kunal Kamra posted this tweet yesterday, and it has this picture that I was telling you about, which is, a picture of all these two-wheelers standing outside the Ola office in Bangalore. Do Indian consumers have a voice? Do they deserve this? Two-wheelers are many daily wage workers' lifeline. And he tags Nitin Gadkari randomly. So toll joke over there. Nitin Gadkari, is this how Indians will get to using EVs? Jago Raha Ke Jago. This is some other handle. Any word?
Jago Grahak Jago.
Sorry.
After La Patla Ladies, Nitin Sundar presents to you.
I think I should edit this podcast somewhere. Yeah. And Jago Grahak Jago. Any Jago Grahak Jago. What handle is that? It's some, I don't know, some public
Customer
interest
this
handle.
thing. No.
Something. Any word. Anyone who has an issue with
interest.
Ola Electric, leave your story below, tagging all. Right. So this is what he tweeted. This, by the way, was a response to Bhavish posting some photo of the Ola Giga factory, which is a new factory that he's building. So all hell broke loose because Bhavish went aggressive and started responding to these messages. So, so this was his first reply. Since you care so much, Kunal Kamra, come and help us out. I'll even pay more than you earned for this paid tweet or from your failed comedy career. Or else, sit quiet and let us focus on fixing the issues for the real customers. We are expanding service network fast and backlogs will be cleared soon. Kunal Kamra responded. He posted a clip of one of his videos where, he actually was, I don't know, it was probably a good comedy clip of his or something. On my failed comedy career, here's a clip from last year when I surprised an audience and opened for Grover. Anything else, you arrogant substandard prick? Bhavish Agarwal, right?
Okay.
So then Bhavish quote tweets that with Chot lagi, dard hua, aja service center. Bahut kaam hai. I'll pay better than your flop shows pay you. Show your audience how much you truly care and whether you're only gas and BS.
Two things
Yeah.
I want to say here. One is, listeners, if you want to know how many attempts it took Nitin to get the Hindi in that last tweet right, DM me. I will send it to you. Second, this is exactly what I was talking about, right? Much like us, Kunal Kamra has the content creator's integrity where he's saying he can't be bought out by mass producers, right?
So Bhavish did not stop there. He really doubled down and kept sniping at Kunal Kamra. Even if you assume that somebody is coming at you with an agenda, right? Like telling them that either you are a customer or you need to be a part of the solution. If not, you deserve to shut up is a very, very strange tack to take. Especially now, because I didn't know this, by the way. I've been living under a cave. So Ola Electric now is a public company also. So they actually listed on the stock market in August. So 10% down. And so even if someone paid Kunal Kamra to bring down Ola Electric, the person who actually brought them down today was Bhavish Agarwal himself. Because if not for his tweets, I don't think this would have got anywhere near the traction that it did.
Obviously, Bhavish Agarwal's flawed response to this whole thing. Do you know, in that respect, who is the CEO who has emerged with great dignity in hindsight to an attack on his agenda by great content creators with integrity. Shantanu Deshpande of the Bombay Shaving Company, who didn't respond to our barbed response.
He's not one of the three
comments.
listeners we have, unfortunately.
So yeah, be like
Yeah.
Shantanu Deshpande, guys. Nitin Sundar,
Absolutely.
have you been paid by Bombay Shaving Company? This is why you've gotten clean shaven close to your 39.
Bhavesh Agarwal. Lots of people believe he's kind of positioning himself as the Elon Musk of India. So, what is your response to that claim?
First of all, not sure Elon Musk is someone to be positioned after. Right? So, I think the Elon Musk picture of this week is
Yeah.
you remember that Monty Python sketch of the dead parrot? You haven't seen? Okay, basically this guy returns a parrot to the pet shop from which he bought it, saying that the parrot has died. Okay, and then like obviously an argument ensues between the shopkeeper and this thing, right? And he claims it is not dead or something like that. So the picture here is that same thing, except Musk is holding the Twitter bird and the shopkeeper is saying it was alive when you bought it.
Oh, nice.
It is funny if you've seen the Monty Python sketch.
You did a fairly good job of explaining the joke, so I get the joke. I'll laugh in retrospect after seeing.
No, so there is a tremendous monologue, right? It's called a dead parrot sketch. I think the shop owner is saying the parrot is not dead. So the owner is like, no, he's not dead. He's resting. Remarkable bird, that this and the other. And so it finally ends with he's bleeding demised, and the owner says, no, he's pining. And this guy is like, he's not pining, he's passed on. This parrot is no more. He's ceased to be. He's expired and gone to meet his maker. He's a stiff, bereft of life. He rests in peace. If you hadn't nailed him to the perch, he'd be pushing up the daisies. His metabolic processes are now history. He's off the twig. He's kicked the bucket. He's shuffled off his mortal coil, run down the curtain, and join the bleeding choir invisible. This is an ex-parrot. So yeah, an ex-parrot is like the...
This is an ex-parrot. Nice. Pretty good. You did a good job. I'll give you credit for that. Yeah. Good job.
After my Coldplay rendition last week, I feel like anything else is an improvement, right? So yeah, anyway. Yeah. So
what I find really, really surprising and shocking, how is Ola Electric allowed to list in public? I don't get it, right? There used to be rules around profitability for companies that can list on the stock market, right? Like, has the BSE just gone completely bonkers? Like, what are the rules now, right? Or have they truly embraced the idea that the economy and the stock market have nothing to do with each other, right? Which is broadly what they say, right? You can have a lot of money flowing through the bourses without it really having any direct correlation or impact on the lives of the millions of people that actually make up the population. Now, as the BSE actually, the Indian Stock Exchange or the powers that be, have they just literally embraced that idea and said anybody can list, any kumbaya can happen based on whatever sentiment? Because how on earth is Ola Electric allowed to be a public company, right? It has been one spectacular failure after another. And even if you have just, moderately followed the general voice of consumer on Twitter around, those two-wheelers that were purchased, catching fire, going backwards. I mean, anything that is random was something that an Ola two-wheeler, it literally was pivoting the way the auto pivoted, right? And changed the direction of this podcast, right?
Yeah. Do you remember Bhavish's claim very recently where he said Ola is the fourth largest EV company
outside of China? Correct. Outside of China, yeah.
Asterisk. It says excluding China.
Outside of China. It's hilarious, man.
Yeah. What is the full form of BYD? Build your dreams.
Build your dreams.
Yeah. So that only he's done. He's built his own dreams.
Yeah.
This is the time when basically, like you observed, Nitin Sundar, successful founders like the Zerodha brothers or Mark Zuckerberg have started becoming content creators, right? Like they've achieved what they wanted to in life. Now they want to create content, much like you.
Much like you.
Right? So I feel like Bhavish is only starting out on that journey, right? So as a veteran content creator, I feel like you should extend your
warm
sympathies to
welcome.
him. You remember what it was like when you were only financially successful, not a great content creator, right? So throw him a board, man. Come on. Coming back to OnlyFans, Nitin Sudhir, $6.6 billion in revenue. And in my estimation, the progress of the internet has been marked by man's quest to watch better quality porn. Right?
Yeah.
Whether it is virtual reality or like high definition cameras or any of these things, better bandwidth, they
Yeah.
all have found their first use cases in porn.
Torrenting.
So do you think
everything?
Yeah, exactly. So when we
Bitcoin.
talk about a seed fund,
Yeah.
what do you mean
Seed
Bitcoin?
fund. Bitcoin, I mean, originally cryptocurrency was used for shady payments for illicit content, right?
Correct.
That's where it
Amazing.
started, and then for all things illicit. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it finds its way, in life, right? So, taking that cue, this week, Sadhguru is selling his picture of his feet for 3,200 rupees.
Oh, that's very cheap though. Why?
Yeah.
Why is what is the
But
strange pricing?
It's not just one picture, right? Multiple people can buy it, right?
It's not an NFT.
It's a framed picture of Sadhguru's feet listed for rupees 3,200 on Isha Life eShop, right? Now,
No man, this is NFT only. NFT stands for naked foot. So there you go.
yeah, but this is the brick and mortar version of OnlyFans. But to be honest, when Sadhguru spoke of, finding soul, I don't think this soul is what he had in mind, right?
Yeah, he's turned heel and found an entirely new ankle.
You're keeping our listeners on their toes with the multiple jokes that you're making here.
Yeah.
But speaking of OnlyFans and feet, someone has recently shot themselves in the foot. Quite literally.
Oh yeah.
This is Govinda, who has shot himself in the foot.
Was it an accident? Is it purportedly? Like what happened?
Yeah, of course. He was getting ready to leave for some show to Calcutta.
Was he riding shotgun?
Oh man, he bit the bullet. He basically said it was around 4:45 in the morning. Wo giri or chelpadi. The revolver fell and misfired. I felt a jatka. I was shocked. There was a fountain of blood. So this Nitin Sundar is where we've brought back the Chekhov's gun that was mentioned in the intro. What a beautiful podcast this is.
I didn't believe the story, by the way. I don't think it was the idea that a gun slipped, fell down and shot his foot doesn't seem believable to me.
Yeah.
There seems to have been some...
At 4:45 a.m.
There's some foul play seems to have been afoot.
Yeah. My God. This leg of the podcast you have aced.
Yeah.
But I think what has happened was there was a fan or an only fan in Govinda's house, and the fan blew it and it fell down. It was Govinda gone with the winda.
Oh. Did we end up jinxing Govinda by talking about the Tirupati Laddu in such great detail last week? So Govinda happened. Are we manifesting the wrong kind of
my God
stuff?
But the best part was, I think Ravina Tandon went to visit Govinda in the hospital.
Yeah, don't shoot him again.
And she was wearing shades, and people are like, she was wearing shades because shouldn't shoot him because I think the line is Akiyo se goli mari.
So anyway, on the nature of memory and remembering things, right, and movies. Recently, I was in Turkey, right? When we were in Turkey, we visited this place called Hagia Sophia, which is, it was originally a mosque, then it got converted to a church. It's been converted
then
back
a mosque,
and forth.
now it's a museum.
No, it's still a functional mosque, but you can visit it, right? Yeah, and it's very nice, it's very beautiful. Anyway, so after visiting it, I told my son, hey, now that you've seen this place, we'll go back home and we'll watch a movie which was set in Hagia Sophia, right? Now, the movie I was thinking of was Inferno, which is part of the Dan Brown trilogy. right?
Okay.
Inferno is actually set. It's based on Dante's Inferno. There's some water that gets sort of poisoned in, and the movie set in Hagia Sophia. Lots of stuff happens there.
Yeah.
Except I've forgotten this, and I made my son yesterday sit and watch Angels and Demons, which has. I remember Angels and Demons. I remember reading the book. I remember the Camerlengo jumping. Have you read Angels and Demons?
Yeah.
Or watched?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Very interesting stuff to read. I mean, it's all made up shit, but still nice one.
Back
right?
when, it was,
Yeah. So in back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, so now they're going to go from one church to another and try to solve the clues. And in the end, they will go to Hagia Sophia. So let's watch this film. And my son is also, this is the first grown-up film he's watching. There's fair amount of violence in this film. Okay. So we're also like checking, are you okay? Are you getting too scared? This and that. But he was fine and he was into it. But there's about 30 minutes left in the film, and they're just in Rome and the Vatican City. Okay, they're going from one church to another. My son says, "I'm sure they're not going to Hagia Sophia." And I'm like, "No, you don't know. They're going there only. Next day will go. They will take on helicopter and go to Hagia." I built the whole story in my mind, but he was right. They don't go to Hagia Sophia. That's this time again. I opened Wikipedia and found out actually it is Dante's Inferno is the one where Hagia Sophia happens. Now, while watching this film, so in this film, obviously, they have constructed this alternate reality about the Illuminati, which is this group of scientists who went against the church, right? And then went underground, and then they come back in the film. And Galileo was part of the Illuminati, right? So my son got very interested with Galileo. So today, when we went to a library, he picked up a book about Galileo, read it up and everything. So learning is happening, right? Whatever way. So you throw the seeds and hopefully they grow. Now, on the way back.
One second. Can I predict what happened next? You wanted him to watch a movie about Illuminati and you watched Avesham with Fahad Fasil. Illuminati.
That would be funny, actually. No, but it's amazing how serendipity works, right? There is this old This American Life podcast episode. I think this is episode number 425. Which talks about... in which there is this... you should listen to this, by the way. The episode, not this. This, unfortunately, you have to listen to now. Anyway, I won't go to the details of that episode, but you should listen to that episode. The funny things that happens in that episode is Galileo and Kepler, right? So this is back in the day when Galileo was actually inventing or discovering stuff that nobody knew of, right? So he built a telescope. He was suddenly looking at moons of Saturn. He was able to see Jupiter and all of this. Now, back then, there was no way to come up with a discovery and ensure that you got credit for it, right? Because someone else would claim that there was no way to get published and say this is the proof of record that I am the person who first came up with this discovery. So do you know how people like Galileo actually used to ensure that discoveries got attributed to them?
How?
So when they discover something, they would send out information about the discovery to others in the community. So in this instance, Kepler.
Right.
So Galileo would send a message to Kepler, except in the message, he won't directly say that this is what I found. He won't say, I found that Saturn has a second moon. He won't say it that way. He'll cryptically say that. So he'll put it in a way that Kepler actually cannot decode it. But later, when someone else independently finds out, he can say, hey, see this, I actually told you this on that day. This. So he used to do this. Now Galileo apparently...
You know the best way to do this now?
This podcast.
Yes, this podcast. Leftover Lasagne. So no one finds out that you have prior use.
You know what this proves? This proves that we are actually the substitute for cryptocurrency. Because this is the ledger.
This is the blockchain. Right? Yes.
This is the blockchain. We are the blockchain, man. Like, amazing. We thought we are a cock block, but actually we are a blockchain.
Oh, finally we are solutionizing on this podcast. And we have
we found the solution. Rason d'Atre. So Galileo sent a couple of these cryptic messages for two very, very major inventions, discoveries, to Kepler. And asked Kepler, can you decode what I have told you? And Kepler wrongly decoded both of those messages. Right? So, for instance, one of the messages was that I found a second moon around Saturn. Except Kepler decoded as, I have seen a red dot in the middle of Jupiter which rotates with the planet. Now, the funny thing is, the things that Kepler wrongly interpreted also later turned out to be true. So Jupiter actually has a red block in the middle of the planet which rotates with the planet.
Throwing back to the start of this episode is exactly like you saying you don't remember The Very Hungry Caterpillar, but then remember some random book where a dog and a dog go together and it gets scared by a cat.
Right? Harry McLary. Harry McLary is the name of the book. Yes, I remember it.
That is a
Amazing.
movie, when Harry met Sally.
They were not dogs. Plot twist, they were human beings in love with each other. They were not dogs. Harry McLary
God.
from Donaldson's Dairy. That's the name of the book. Yeah. It's like
Lovely.
Chicken Licken. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that,
No,
but
but
I thought.
yeah. So this entire long monologue just proves that this is a podcast episode close to your birthday. Because as our friend Srinath Sripath, who wished himself on this podcast, once narrated something called the birthday boy syndrome, where if
You
it's
can
your
get
birthday,
away with anything on your birthday.
what is it? Nutrient chocolates, and you can, just because you are giving Lacto King to everyone, you
Yeah.
don't get called out that day. Beautiful.
Correct. There you go.
But on this thing, right? Do you remember how Charles Darwin is not the only one credited with
Correct.
this thing, right? And the
Yeah.
basic idea there was this fellow actually sat on his discovery for years together because he wasn't confident, because he was
Yeah.
like worried he was going against the church and all that. Then some other guy found it out 12 years later and was ready to publish, at which point Darwin also said, oh, look, I also found this in
I already sent this cryptic message to Galileo. See?
on Leftover Lasagne. Check episode number 13, which no one's listened to. Yeah, correct.
Have you been following Dipinder Goyal, Zomato CEO?
No. Tell me.
So Dipinder Goyal every now and then will actually become a delivery person for Zomato, where he goes on bike and does actual deliveries. So he's posted something on social media again in the last 24 hours. Apparently, he had to pick up food from a restaurant inside a mall, inside a food court. And he writes about how when he tried to enter the mall, the way everyone enters a mall, he was not allowed to. And how there is, this segregation that
Stigma.
happens, the stigma around getting delivery people in malls. And they're not actually allowed to use the regular entrances, and they're made to go into, some of these emergency exits, etc. And they're not even given access to lifts sometimes. And typically food courts tend to be on the top floor of very tall buildings, right, which are malls.
Yeah.
And they end up having to walk, which is what he had to do. And there's a video of him going up to a food court and picking up food. It was fairly thought provoking because he obviously they put it out more as a PR thing, so this was obviously all planned and there was a camera following Dipinder Goyal. But I think the point he raises, leaving aside the cynicism, the point he raises is very valid. And he does say, we should, as a community, and Zomato will also do this, we need to work with malls to come up with better ways to be inclusive and handle the service professionals who are bringing food home,
right,
and not be treating them this way. But so yeah.
No, I mean, is this the first time Zomato is hearing about it? Obviously not, right? I mean, like there would be instances of when deliveries are delayed.
Probably the first time
complained and stuff like that, right? Like there is
right, but probably the first time he is or someone in their company. See, it's very easy for us to not look at a problem unless we get very close to it and experience it by ourselves.
My point is slightly different, that they would already have known this, right? That this is happening. Because multiple deliveries would have gotten delayed, or like delivery boys would refuse to pick up from some places, stuff like that, right? This would have happened multiple times over. So, in a world where we have to do fewer things ourselves, right? And I think by virtue of being in 2024, the idea is that the fewer things you do, the better it is, because your time is anyway taken up doing those few things, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it is enough for empathy to come from when you do a particular thing, right?
Again, I saw this other thing doing the rounds today, where again on social media, someone was saying, I went in a two-wheeler to a 5-star hotel, and the hotel did not have parking for two-wheelers, and I was rudely asked to go and park quite far away from the hotel and walk back, because they don't actually allow autos to enter the hotel lobby, right, where people can alight. So if you go in an auto to a hotel, you have to get off outside the hotel and walk in. Whereas if you're in a swung car, it could go all the way to the to the alley ale and drop you off. So what you said does hold water. It is not just the fact that they're delivery personnel. So the fact that lots of delivery personnel come together and tend to take up space inside restaurants, and you'll see this in restaurants also, by the way, right? There'll be like a separate area where they're made to wait without actually coming in front of the patrons who are sitting and having their meals, which is
It's interesting, no? Is that aesthetics play a huge part in what is acceptable. Okay, like whether it is that a 5-star hotel wants to maintain a certain this thing because you like autos don't look good or whatever the reason is. Aesthetics play a huge part, right? Like not all. I think I don't know who it was who said that if you kill a cockroach, you're a hero. If you kill a butterfly, you're a villain or something, right? And aesthetics are very interesting. I think at the start of Inglourious Bastards, he talks about how if you see a squirrel, you won't kill it, but if you see a rat, you want to kill it. Although they are both rodents and have the same disease carrying capacity, right?
Correct.
In the same way, I think if you remember Malcolm Gladwell's podcast, Revisionist History, the first episode is about Will Chamberlain's 100-point game, right?
Correct.
Which basically how he shot free throws was the
underarms.
Best and most efficient way of shooting free throws. Free throws means obviously no one's guarding you, so you can throw it any which way. And the correct physically, the physics of the biology.
He was throwing them underarms, basically, right?
Correct
He was
way to throw it is
which
underarm.
is the logical, simple way to throw them. Yeah.
And ever since then, he never did that because people
he was ridiculed.
Said, you look like a sissy or like it's called a granny shot, etc., etc. So much so that even in this day and age, when you can easily sort of practice it and increase your free throw percentage, people refuse to do it. What is your take on this? Like aesthetics over getting the thing done?
I'm okay with aesthetics, but not when it comes in way of being humane, man.
So, if you were playing basketball, would you shoot underarm or overarm for a free throw?
That's a good question. I would have probably tried to shoot underarm if I'd known about it as a young kid and I'd been taught that way. The problem is also by the time people are actually aware of this.
So, if Milan's picking up basketball now, would you
do your free throws underarm? Yeah, probably. Yeah, I would. Why not? Yeah, I would try and explain to him. But you know what? As a child, it's probably not easy to throw it underarm.
Why?
Think about it.
Because you need muscles of a different
it's a
quality.
long way. Yeah. It's easier for a grown person. No, but at least the distance is lesser and you can put more muscles into it. No, you're putting your shoulder into it if you throw it overarm. But as a grown person of Will Chamberlain's height, obviously underarm is not a problem anymore. So that's the thing, right? At what point do you train yourself?
But I feel like this is not the only example, right? There must be more exampals of where you choose aesthetics over efficiency.
I'm completely fine with that, right? We all do, right? We all try and keep our house, as Krish Shrikant has said, you keep your saris together, you keep your pants together.
What?
Be like, hey, Chica MBA, the great Chica videos.
I don't remember this. Success in life.
Success in life video. He explains how it's like this motivation videos. How he's like how you have to be organized. If you're organized, then
Mary Kondo actually stole from Chris Shrikant. This is what we're saying.
If you're disciplined in life, then your saris you'll keep on one side, you'll keep your shirt on one side, you open your drawer, you know exactly what you're going to wear. If you're not like that, then you're partying every day, you're not sleeping properly, then you're okay. Sometimes partying is okay, but every time you go partying, then you're disciplined. Your health also not all right. Watch the videos.
But the key question here is why is Chris Shrikant wearing saris?
That is the joke. He's actually giving that is right. Then that video suddenly he'll talk about saris. You have to keep your saris on.
There's this Stranger Planet comic of where someone comes to visit and they're like, oh, your house is very beautiful. And they're like, thanks, we have many things, but we've kept them in smaller containers or whatever. So if you open the cupboard, basically,
it'll all fall down.
Shove everything in.
Shove it. Yeah, out of sight, out of mind. I do that quite a bit. It works.
This is the same thing that I do because I'm the laziest person when it comes to organizing stuff on the computer. Okay, like there are like
I'm also like
1,000
that. Everything is on my
files on the
desktop.
desktop. Yeah.
Same.
Except when you have to present to someone, you suddenly create one
No, I'll
desktop
open one.
folder.
Exactly.
and
I'll open
dump everything
dump
into
everything
it.
else into that. I've done
Now,
that.
the best part
I-
is 2 weeks later,
You'll have a lot of those
desktop
folders.
number 7. Inside desktop 7 is a folder called desktop 6. Inside which is desktop 5. It is desktops all the way down.
It's a Matryoshka doll of rubbish on my desktop.
Yeah, Rolodex of rubbish.
Yes. Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like this is the thing, no? That what you spoke about last week is that when you save a file and you don't know where it is, I think we've been spoiled rotten by
Fuck.
the effectiveness of the search algorithm on even basic Windows and like the
But not on phones. Yeah, you're right.
Not on
On
phones,
laptops, yes.
right?
Yeah.
That is why we keep doing it. Like, I'll
Yeah.
find it. What is that? Like search for a file.
It's all on my desktop. I keep staring and find it eventually.
It is Excel book named book 35.
Yeah.
35 parenthesis word.
Well, /_ PDF V8.
Final.file.
Final. No, Apple has actually made this hard. You cannot sort everything alphabetically. It's in some random order. You can't sort everything by file type either. So that
Oh, so
folders
last
a
week
bit-
you complained about Android. Now this time you're complaining about Apple. Oh, this is Apple, but on the computer. Okay, come on. Tell us.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not easy to manage. The desktop strategy works much less efficiently on Apple.
Oh,
But
really?
It's the only thing that I have. So that's all I do.
No, explain. What
I
do
don't-
they do? You can't arrange them alphabetically.
You can't like right click and sort it so that it's alphabetical. So it's impossible to search and find the folder you're looking for. You know what the name of the folder is, you know it's on the desktop,
Lovely.
but you'll get lost looking for
You
it.
know what this is? This time I'm not going to give the answer because this is our final strategy to get audiences. There is this whole Reddit thing saying, or general internet forum funda, right? Is that if you want to get an answer to a question that you have,
Yeah.
what you need to do is post the question and create a alternate account, and from that alternate account post an obviously
Wrong answer.
incorrect answer. Right?
Correct.
Because people on the internet do not necessarily want to solve your problems, but if they
Correct.
find someone is wrong, they
Yeah.
have to come and correct you. Right? So
Correct,
this is the gauntlet that we are throwing down, where Nitin is saying there is no way you can arrange files alphabetically.
Yeah. Hopefully somebody will give me the
Yeah,
answer.
come on,
How to-
if
how
you
to-
know, please come listen
So
to
we need someone as lazy as us, but far more industrious than me in finding out how Apple works. That is what we're looking for. Yeah.
It is a very niche audience that we're targeting.
Yeah. We had Nisha at the start of this episode. We're looking for Nish at the end of this episode.
Friedrich Nietzsche just turned in his brain.
Fried rice Nietzsche only.
Fried rice Nietzsche.
Are we
When you
changing
open the
recipe?
fridge because you've stuffed everything in.
You stuffed
Because guests are
lasagna in.
coming. Because guests are coming, you shoved everything into the fridge. And when you fried rice
When you open, there is leftover lasagna. Next to it, there is fried rice Nietzsche.
Nietzsche.
Nietzsche on the
Nietzsche.
shelf. Yeah.
It fell down.
Fair enough. And then it
Somewhere there.
exploded, and that's why Govinda is hurt.
Oh. All right. It was a nice podcast when it lasted.
Yeah.
Usually,
Yeah.
every episode, you reach a point where you are like, this is the natural conclusion of the podcast, right? Because time has passed or whatever, or you've pretty much covered topics and like you have enough, right? But this episode, we've reached the natural conclusion of Leftover Lasagne itself.
The podcast.
The podcast itself.
It's an exclamation mark.
It is
Masquerading
an
as a
X
full stop.
podcast. It is an X podcast.
I don't
The
know. man.
dead podcast sketch. That's what this should be called.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for hanging around with us. Episode 23 of
So
Left-
what I wanted to
Leftover.
say was there is Wayne Gretzky, the greatest ice hockey player, who has a quote that goes by, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I think
Correct.
Michael Jordan also had a similar quote, who famously wore the number 23. I feel
Yeah.
like this is a tribute episode to Michael Jordan, where you've taken multiple shots under
Undrop.
but we didn't have enough muscles for it to find the basket, right? Therefore,
Therefore, this episode has become a basket case.
chalo.
Cool.
On that note,
This has been episode 23 of Leftover Lasagna. It was fun as always, rambling in your company, and this time rambling in the company of Nisha as well. We look forward to wonderful
That was
comments,
awesome.
and
Thank you,
yeah,
Nisha.
that was great fun. Thank you, Nisha. Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, please
But
let your
your
friends
point,
know.
Nitin, on whether this is the end of the podcast, right? It's interesting because most people think that the toughest part is to carry on to the 100th episode. But actually, this is where most podcasts and content creation things die out, right? When the initial excitement of creating something new has gone out, and we are
Correct.
in the
So getting to
doldrums.
100 is not easy. Correct.
Yeah. So we are actually midway down the sea, right? Like, do you know what the doldrums are?
They are the winds, right?
No, doldrums are this place near the equator where
You get those winds. Yeah.
no, nothing happens. Like it's still. Like
still.
nothing moves, right? And you're basically like, what the fuck? Like it is the equivalent of a midlife crisis, which is kind of appropriate because you're denying that you're turning 40. You're saying you're 39 and all now. So this is the doldrums episode. So yeah, I mean,
I'm going to correct you, and this is where we're sparking new life into this podcast. The correct definition of doldrums: an equatorial region in the Atlantic Ocean with calms, sudden storms, and light, unpredictable winds.
Light, unpredictable winds. So what is light?
Storms, sudden storms, and unpredictable winds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like this podcast. No, but my point being that we will find a new lease of life. No worries around that.
Yeah. No, we are all good. Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you for staying with us this far. If you have, if you haven't, how do we get you back? We should put this at the start of the podcast. Oh man.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to Leftover Lasagne. Correct. Can you please bring the people who listened to the first 4 episodes as well?
Man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to us. After listening to this episode, please don't rate us at all. But
thank you very much. Yes, no. It'll
this
be
is,
fine. Please let your friends know.
Yeah.
These two mofos are still creating content. Yes.
Oh no, dude! But like we started this episode with Nisha. I feel like there is some like pull to this episode. So if you want to join us on a podcast or replace us, apparently, or if you'd like Nisha to run this podcast from here on, all options are open. Please let us know.
Let us know.
In the comments. Also tell Nitin how to sort files alphabetically. All right.
Absolutely.
Till next time.
Thank you and see you next time. How cool, man. That is very nice. Very nice. Beautiful. Lovely. She's in Bombay only, no?
Yeah.
So your time zone. So what iPad was not working, Riverside. Was that the issue?
Actual funny thing was that I couldn't hear her at all. And then I made her change 3 devices. AirPods, then actual iPad, then another headphones. And then I still couldn't hear her. So I was like, maybe I should just check my earphones.
Was it your earphones? Useless fucker. Truth, yeah. How much torture you put her through. One listener we had, you tortured her also. No, she was
If it weren't for your whiskey honey voice, Nitin, where would we be?